Okay, standard form doesn't give you good information right off the bat. Standard form is good for another process, but for graphing things by hand, standard form is not really the best form there is. So we have to tweak it and put it into one of the forms that we've already done, transformational form or vertex form. So I want to show you how to change this into the two forms or one of the forms that we just have done. Here's what standard form means. Now, you'll see there's a lot of space over here because it takes a few steps to do. So here's what standard form means. It's y equals, and then it comes x squared, then x, then the constant. Well, there's a number in front of the x squared. See, like down here, there's a 2 there. So there's an implied 1 right there. So there's a number which is called a in general. So ax squared, where a is some number, plus bx, where b is some other number. In this case, b is 6, plus c is the constant. So in this case, the c is 12. So in this one, a is 1, b is 6, and c is 12. What we want to do is turn that into vertex form. And way over here, I'm gonna do it for this one. And while I'm doing it, I'm gonna list the steps so you have some reference on what are the steps to do. What we have to do is called complete the square. Complete the square. Okay, here's what we're looking for. I want to remind you this, x minus, something like x minus 2 all squared means x minus 2 times x minus 2. So when you multiply it, it's x times x, so that's x squared. Then we've got x times negative 2, that would be a negative 2x, and we've got a negative 2 times x there, that's another negative 2x, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. So that x minus 2 squared is x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, see, that's what we have right here. This is standard form. What I'd like to do is get it back to this, because this is vertex form. This is a positive 2 on the x number. I know that x number is 2, and then if we had something for the y, we would know the y variable also, and we would have a starting point for the vertex. And there might be a number in front of this. That would, right now, it would be an implied 1. That would be the slope from whatever this dot is. We'd go over 2, up whatever that one would be, and then the slope would be over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, and there's our parabola. So standard form is like this. If you take vertex form and multiply it out, it becomes standard form. Well, we got to take standard form and try to go backwards and get it to vertex form. Okay, here's step number 1. Y equals x squared plus 6x. Now, one of the things that I want to do is take the constant and put it over with the y. So I'm going to take this constant and put it over there. Okay, so if it's a positive 12 here, it's a minus 12 here. I should have left myself some space. So it's y minus 12 equals x squared plus 6x. So the first thing I did is took the constant and put it over with the y. So I'm going to jot that down over here. I'll just call it c. I'll say move c, this number, to the y side. Okay, so that would be the first step. I'm going to move the c number to the y side. Okay, the next thing I have to do is I have to make sure a is 1. Okay, a must be equal to 1. Okay, in this term, it is. Okay, so when we get down to number 3, I'll show you what to do when it is not. So a must be 1. When a is 1, then we're going to take b and cut it in half. So the b number is 6, so I'm going to take b and cut in half. And then write it down. So I'm going to say that. We're going to use that later. So I want to cut b in half and write it down. So there's the b, cut it in half, write it down. Now I'm going to square that into, there's like a missing space. I'm going to square that into that hole. I'll call that the hole. I'm going to square it, so I'm going to put a square there. And I'm going to take the 3 and square it. Okay, so I'm going to square this halved b number, square the b halves number into the hole. The hole like the missing spot right there. So that 3, I'm going to square it into the hole, so that becomes positive 9. Okay, so whatever we put in there, that's the positive 9. You can't just go adding 9 to one side of the equation. You have to do it to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to call that balance the equation. Balance the equation means if I add 9 here, I have to add 9 here. You just can't give 9 over here. We want to give 9 because it's going to do something here in just a minute, but if I add 9 here, I've got to add 9 there. Okay, this is x squared plus 6x plus 9. That now will factor. Hopefully you did some factoring before, but even if you didn't, we're going to do some more factoring later. It always goes to this number. That's going to turn into x plus 3 squared. That's how come I wanted you to write that one down, because whatever that number is what the factor is. Now, let's watch. I'll prove that. X plus 3 squared means x plus 3 times x plus 3. That should be this. Well, x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 3 times x is another 3x. And 3 times 3 is 9. Sure enough, that's x squared plus 6x plus 9. So you see, this is the same thing as this. Now on this side, we have y minus 12 plus 9, so we have y minus 3. Okay, there it is. It's in transformational form. Here's the vertex. That's the x part and that's the y part. What makes this value 0 is negative 3. What makes this value 0 is positive 3. So the vertex is at negative 3, 3. The multiplication factor, the scale factor, is 1. That means it's the normal size. That means we start at the vertex, and we're going to go over 1. We're going to go over 1, up 1. We're going to go left 1, up 1. We're going to go over 2, up 4. We're going to go left 2, up 4, etc. The scale factor is just 1, the normal scale factor. So there it is. Vertex is at negative 3, 3. Okay, we go over 1, up 1. Over 1, up 1, over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we could go 3, 9 if we wanted to, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there would be the next one. So there's our parabola graphed out of standard form. So standard form wasn't a very nice one to graph. It's not easy to graph this way, so we turn it into the other kind by the steps of completing the square. Okay, let's try that again on an easy one. First step, move C to the y side. So I'm going to take this 5 and put it over there. Okay, so that'll be y minus 5 equals x squared plus 6x. Step 2, make sure A is 1. Okay, it is. Step 3, cut B in half and write it down. So 6 cut in half is 3. Step 4, square B over 2 into the hole. So I'm going to take that 3 and square it into this spot. So 3 squared becomes positive 9. Step 4, balance the equation. If I add 9 here, I got to add 9 here. I guess this last step should be factor. Okay, so plus 9 minus 5, that means I've got y plus 4 over here. Factoring means it's going to turn into that number, x plus 3 all squared. If I multiply that back out, it's that. Okay, here's the vertex. The vertex is at -3. That's what this one gives me. And this one gives me -4. The scale factor is 1, so it's normal width. So at -3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the vertex. The scale factor equals 1. That's this number right there. Okay, so over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. And then we go 2, 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good enough. That's 5 points is enough for me. Okay, number 3 now, the A number is not going to be 1, so we'll deal with it. But we don't have to worry about that yet. First step, move C to the Y side. So the 36 is coming over there. Okay, so Y minus 36 equals 2x squared plus 16x. Okay, A must be 1, but A is not 1. So if it's not 1, we're going to factor it out. That means we're going to divide out the 2. So I have y minus 36 equals, I'm going to write it like this. I'm dividing out the 2 and leaving what's left in here. So if I take this x squared and divide out the 2, I have an x squared. If I take this 16x and divide out the 2, I have an 8x. Okay. Next step, cut b in half, write it down. Now b is 4. The next step, square that into the whole. So take this 4 and square it into that extra space. So 4 square is 16. Okay, balance the equation. It looks like we added 16 over here, so we have to add 16 over here. But we didn't really add 16. When I multiply all this together by putting this 16 right there, this whole thing was multiplied by 2. I really added 32 to this side. I added 2 times 16. So yes, completing the square was 16, but this multiplier of 2 made it twice as much. So really on this right-hand side, I added 2 times 16. So I have to add 2 times 16 over here. Okay, that's balance the equation. The next one's factor. So I need to factor this. Well, it's going to be the 4. So negative 36 plus 32 is y minus 4. Here's a 2, and then this piece factored is x plus 4. That's what that number's for, all squared. So if we do x plus 4 times another x plus 4, it goes back to that. Okay, so trying to get it in transitive form, now I'm going to get rid of this 2, so I'm going to multiply off 1/2. I'm going to multiply that side by 1/2, and then multiply this side times 1/2. So I have 1/2 y minus 4 equals x plus 4 all squared. Okay, here's the vertex. The x is negative 4. The y is positive 4. There's the vertex. Okay, now here I need the inverse of what's on the y's. So right there, the y's are going to be times 2. And we're trying to make this multiply to 1. So it's going to be, all the y's are going to be twice as much. So it would start normally at 0, 0. Well, multiplying the y part, that's the y number, multiplying that times 2 is still 0, 0. So from the vertex, we're not moving. Normally I would go 1, 1 from there. Okay, so now the y part's getting doubled, so it's going to go 1, 2 from there. And then 2, 4 would be the normal one, over 2, up 4, but the y part is getting doubled, so it'll be 2, 8 from there. Okay, let's take a look at that. And then, of course, I like to do it in the positives. The negative one here would be negative 1, 1 normally, with the y getting doubled. And then this one over here is also going to be negative 2, 4. So the y will get doubled to negative 2, 8. Okay, so let's start at our negative 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the vertex. I would normally go over 1, up 1, but the y's are getting doubled. So I'm going over 1, up 2. So from this vertex, over 1, up 2. Over 1, up 2. I would normally go over 2, up 4, but the y's are getting doubled. So I'm going to go over 2, up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Over 2, up 8. And there's 5 points for the vertex. So that's what happens when the A has a number on it. It changes the scale factor. It made it twice as tall. Once we get done, we move that thing over there, and it made the y's twice as tall. Okay, what about number 4? Okay, we can see that it has an A. But the first thing is to move the 1 to the other side. So we have y minus 1 equals negative 3x squared minus 6x. Okay, that A is a problem, so I've got to factor it out. So I'm going to divide out a negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is positive 1 x squared. So now I have my A term to be a 1. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. Okay, so now our A term is positive. Take the B term and cut it in half. Okay, that makes it 1. Square that into the whole. So 1 squared is still 1. The next step is balance the equation. So again, it looks like I added 1, but it's been multiplied by negative 3. So I really added negative 3 to this side. If I add negative 3 to this side, I have to add negative 3 to that side. So we have y minus 4 equals negative 3. Then the next step said to factor. Well, that's going to be the factored number, a positive 1. So x plus 1 all squared. Going to multiply off this negative 3, so I'm going to multiply by negative 1/3. Means I got to multiply this side by negative 1/3. So in transitive form, it's negative 1/3 y minus 4 equals x plus 1 all squared. Here's the scale factor. Well, here's the vertex. Let's do the vertex first. The vertex is at negative 1, positive 4. The scale factor is the y's are going to get multiplied times negative 3. We're trying to make this go to positive 1. So the multiplicative inverse is negative 3. So all the y's are multiplied by negative 3. So the scale factor is a negative 3. So from the vertex, that'll stay the same, but then the 1, 1 will become 1, and then the y part is negative 3. So it's going to be upside down 3 times more, and then also the negative 1. And then the 2, 4, the y part is times negative 3. So it's going to go 2, negative 12. And negative 2, negative 12. So there's the 5 movements from the vertex. So the vertex is at negative 1, 4. Okay, negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Now, I would normally go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, and it would look like this. But the y is multiplied by negative 3. So instead of going over 1, up 1, I'm going over 1, down 3. So over 1, 1, 2, 3. Over 1, 1, 2, 3. I would normally go over 2, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would be right there. But this 4 got multiplied by negative 3. So it's going over 1, down 12. That's what this, over 2 down 12 from the vertex. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 1, 2, 1, 2 down 12. So it's 3 times taller upside down. That's what that 3 meant. So here the scale factor was all the y's 3 times negative upside down taller. 3 times taller but upside down. Okay, that's the step all the time. Number 5, start out by moving the constant to the other side. So y plus 4 equals negative x squared minus 2x. Okay, A is not positive 1, it's negative 1. So we have to factor it out. Okay, dividing a negative 1 out of a negative leaves a positive 1, x squared. Dividing a negative 1 out of a negative 2 leaves a positive 2x. Cut the b term in half, so it's 1. Square it into the whole. 1 squared is still 1. And balance. I did a positive 1 here, but it's multiplied by a negative 1. So this side I added a negative 1. That means this side I have to add a negative 1. So I have y plus 3 equals negative, and now this part gets factored. And I use that 1 right there. It's going to be x plus 1 all squared. Okay, I'm going to multiply by another negative 1 on this side, so the negatives cancel out, which means I'll multiply by negative 1 on this side. So the vertex is negative 1 for the x, negative 3 for the y. The scale factor, so I need that. It's going to happen to the y's. All the y's are being multiplied by negative 1 because negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So the scale factor are the y's times negative 1. So all the y parts are going to be multiplied by negative 1. So the vertex, negative 1, negative 3. Negative 1, negative 3 right there. I would normally go over 1, up 1, and over 1, up 1, but all of the y parts are getting multiplied by negative 1, so it'll be over 1, down 1, and over 1, down 1. Then I would go 2, 4. But the y part is getting multiplied by negative 1, so it's going to go down 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just like I have been saying all along, you have to know what is supposed to happen. 1, 1, and 2, 4. And then you adjust it by what is the scale factor. Okay, number 6. Uh-oh, a fraction right there. Move the 5. So y minus 5 equals 1/2 x squared plus 4x. B is not 1, so we have to factor it out. We have to divide it out. So 1/2 is going to get divided out of it. So I took a 1/2 divided by 1/2 leaves 1x squared. I'm taking a 4 and dividing it by 1/2. That is not 2. 4 divided by 1/2 means 4 times 2 over 1, it's 8. So 4 divided by 1/2 leaves 8x. Cut the b term in half, 4. Write it down. Square that into the whole. 4 squared is 16, positive 16. Okay, I put a 16 there and I had a multiplier of 1/2. So this side really got half of 16, so I added 8 to this side. If I add 8 to this side, I add 8 to that side. Now I'm going to factor. It's going